Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a very accomplished professional and an author from Spain, Sarah Dawkins. Sarah, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ashutosh. It's great to be here with you.
Thank you. Sarah is a holistic health coach and a keynote speaker. She's an author, and all of you know I'm partial to authors. She's an author of a book titled Heal Yourself, and we'll talk about Sarah's book. She's also a multi-award winning entrepreneur, and she was previously a registered nurse for 20 years. Sarah, after such an amazing journey, tell me a little bit about what led you from nursing to becoming a self-healing coach?
So I always wanted to be a nurse because my mum was a nurse and I was brought up in the medical model, and I wanted to help people. So I thought nursing was the way to go because that's all I knew. That's, my whole life was about caring through the medical model. But it was when I was, quite a few years ago, I developed psoriasis on my legs and used the steroid cream over and over and over. And I decided one day, because I lived on the south coast of England, that I would just leave my legs open to the sun, wear shorts the whole summer, do lots of walking to get the sunshine and the sea air to my legs. And by the end of the summer, the psoriasis had totally gone. So that was my induction into natural self-healing. But I hadn't had that quite profound, pivotal moment. I thought, great, it's gone. That's all I wanted. It's gone. And the cream just kept it at bay, but it kept flaring back. And it was a few years later I went on to and found out I had eczema and acid reflux. So I started then looking at what I can do to heal myself. Because I'd taken the creams the doctors had prescribed, I'd taken the tablets for the acid reflux. So I changed my diet, did some de-stressing, did a bit of change of lifestyle, and went on and healed those. I developed pain, and rather than taking painkillers, I looked again at what I can do to heal myself. So as my journey is progressing, I thought, well, I'm quite at odds now with nursing, because here I am not using pharmaceuticals, and in my job I am doing what the doctors tell me, and I'm giving out pharmaceuticals and medical advice. So that was the pivotal moment. Then I realized that my body, our bodies, can heal themselves naturally when we support them. So that's when I decided to step out of nursing and train as a natural health coach. And it was through my training as a natural health coach that I realized, although I'd done some physical with diet change and stress reduction, I'd done some mental because I'd done some guided meditations and gratitude and mindfulness. And I'd done some spiritual because I'd reconnected back to me. But it was when I was doing the training to be a coach, I realized I hadn't even touched any of the emotional side of it. So as I understood more of that and dealt with my own emotions, that's when I could say I truly healed all my ails of the past. And I've been virtually symptom-free since then. So my nursing gave me an understanding of the body, how it works and how it's treated in the medical model. But my own healing taught me that we are magical, miracle beings, and we can do so much more than we've been led to believe. So now I continue my own journey and I help others. So it's quite a step out of nursing into health coaching, and quite a turnaround in beliefs as well, because being raised in the medical model, all there was pharmaceuticals. There was no alternatives.
Correct.
And now I don't use pharmaceuticals. I look to other ways and means.
Quite amazing. Thank you for sharing this. But now tell me a little bit more about what were the things that you did to heal yourself, and then we'll talk a little more about the whole process.
So some of the things I did was de-stressing, because stress causes havoc in our bodies. So that if we can de-stress and understand that stress is about our perspective of what's happening externally or internally. Stress is something that how we perceive that situation. It's not internal, it's not within us, it's our perception of it. So if we can change that perception, we can start to look at how we react in certain situations. So de-stressing is a really good one, and you can do that by doing more things that light up your soul, whether it's walking or reading or playing, anything that brings you joy. Walking in nature is really good because the air is different, the energy is different, so that all helps feed into our soul. Then there's the physical. I stopped eating dairy, so anything made from milk from an animal, and gluten, because both are known to cause inflammation. And outside of trauma, inflammation is the root cause of all disease and illness. So I stopped that. I started doing more exercise. I started doing more things that nourished my soul. And I reconnected back into that little voice inside me that I'd hushed up. So I became a lot more spiritual. And it's that part of it is about, what does that mean to you? To me, it was reconnecting with a little voice inside myself that I'd hushed. To other people, it could be religion, it could be talking to spirits, the angels, the universe. It doesn't matter whatever name you give it, as long as you've got that connection, that or reconnection there. So there's lots of different things that we can do, and all are in and of themselves. That nothing is really complex.
Correct.
But it's the sum total that is really profound and important.
And so one thing I'm hearing you say is that you gave up milk products. So is that something which is moving towards veganism, or are you already a vegan?
No. I initially, about 20 years ago, maybe slightly more, I gave up milk, dairy, because it's known to cause inflammation. So now I use oat milk or nut milks, or I make my own coconut milk. And I loved milk, absolutely loved it. Couldn't drink enough. I had about a pint of milk a day. I had a yogurt a day. I ate cheese every day. So there was a lot of dairy in my diet. So I gave up all of that and changed to gluten-free. And now I've used chickpea flour is my staple go-to for flour. It's naturally gluten-free. And but it was difficult initially because I love milk so much. But now that I've got used to it, I wouldn't thank you for milk. And I do get eczema when I drink milk. So I try and avoid all dairy. But I eat fish. I choose not to eat meat. I stopped eating meat a couple of years ago because of the ethics and the morals of it. I don't like how it's mass farmed in the Western countries, and it's just bred for the food chain. There's no kind of life for those.
Amazing. And when you talk de-stressing, do you also include things like yoga and meditation?
I do meditation. I don't do yoga. I do lots and lots of walking. I have a dog, so I'm out twice a day walking with the dog. We live in the mountains, so I can go out for a walk at any time. We take the dog to the beach. So there's lots of ways you can de-stress. Just find something that works for you. Breath work is incredibly powerful, and you can do breath work when you're walking. You can do it through yoga, Pilates, through meditation. There's so many different ways to do that. Absolutely.
And now, let's talk a little bit about how you work with others as a health coach or a holistic health coach. What are some of the wellness challenges that you work with?
Oh, a whole range. I had a gentleman recently came to me and said, can you deal with anger management problems? And when through our coaching session, it turns out yes, there was anger there, but it was unresolved emotional trauma from his childhood, and he didn't see how he fitted into the world. So once we worked through that, the anger was resolved. So it's quite often the presenting symptom is the culmination of other things. So it's about drilling down. So I tend to work with people just talking and asking about their lifestyle and their mindset. I've worked with a gentleman with cancer. I'm working with a lady who's having spirituality problems and some fear around that. I work with people who have had symptoms like myself, pain and acid reflux, fear, anxiety, depression. Everything comes back to our beliefs and the emotional trauma. So there's a lot of mental health and emotional health that needs addressing with my clients. And I do it just through talking. I don't recommend any treatments or therapies or supplements or foods. I just get them to reflect back on their lives.
Wow. And, after 20 years of being a registered nurse, how has your background as a nurse helped you transition towards healing oneself?
The nurse training and working as a nurse gave me insight into how the medical model treats the symptoms and how, because I rotated around all the different specialities within critical care. So I got to see how all the different symptoms of the body function. But in the medical model, they're all separated out into their own specialities. So as a holistic coach, I put them all back together and looked at how one system affects another system and how we can get back to working together with the body as a whole rather than separating it all out. So it gives me the underpinning knowledge of how the body works and how it works separately to put it back as a whole. But as a holistic coach, I tend to work more with the mind and, as I said, people's beliefs, because our beliefs are so powerful that they shape our lives.
And powerful beliefs can both be negative and positive.
Yes,
and while positive help us, how do you handle negative beliefs?
I reflect it back to the client and ask them, where is that really your belief? Or have you borrowed it from somewhere? Because 99% of our time we're running on autopilot and we're just getting through every day. It's very rare that people become present and in that moment. And I get them to look at it, whose belief is that? Where is the origin of that? Is it yours, or was it your parents' belief that you took on board as a child and now you own it? Like myself with the medical model, I truly believe that was the only way. When I'm sick, I go to a doctor's, I get a diagnosis, a prescription, and take medication. That was all I thought. That was, there was no other way. That was what it was. So when I started drilling down and looking into where does that belief come from, I realized that it was actually my parents' belief that I'd taken on board and made it my own. So as I started to analyze what was going on and started to see outside, we have to open our minds up and be open to seeing that there might be other ways, there might be other answers into why our beliefs are why they are and what else that we can do to step outside of that and know that it's okay to change our beliefs. Because, a lot of people think, well, I believe that, therefore it's my belief and that's who I am. But we can change that. And in changing that, we start to come back to the person that we were meant to be before we became who we are now to please others or to fit into society or to conform or to be liked. We need to come back into ourselves and find out, who are we and what are our beliefs that aren't other people's beliefs?
And can you, for our viewers and listeners, give me an example of some of these beliefs that you may have worked with, and how did you help people to manage such beliefs to heal themselves?
Well, I have clients who believe they can't heal themselves. So I drill down into why is that belief there? Where has it come from? I have, like the gentleman I had recently who came with the belief that his problem was about anger and it was all about him and his anger. And when we started looking at it and evaluating it, it came back from his childhood. And on his first session, he said he had a great childhood. But on his second session, after he'd had time to reflect, he said, actually, I really didn't. And it's, we can look back through rose-tinted glasses. So it's about asking the client to look at where their beliefs come from. Are they their own, or are they somebody else's? And are they open-minded to change those beliefs? And what other options do they think they have?
Fascinating, fascinating. My next question to you is, that most of us, Sarah, have people in our lives who influence us and who help us define our own directions and our views. My question is, how have you been shaped by some people in your life, and how are they influencing you as a coach today?
Oof. I think my parents influenced me greatly growing up, believing that the medical model was all there was, and that's why I went into nursing, because that's what I thought I should do. I can care for people and help people. So I looked to my parents as role models on what life is all about, and where I fit within that life and how my career would pan out. But then as I started doing my own healing, I saw their own emotional traumas that they were carrying, possibly unconsciously, subconsciously, maybe consciously, but maybe they buried them. And I see those spilling out in some of their interactions with other people and things that they do. So they showed me their own beliefs. They showed me then, once I'd done some of my own healing, they showed me, or I was able to see, should I say, their own traumas and how that affected them. And then as I started work as a coach, I started reading more books like Joe Dispenza, Greg Braden, Louise Hay. So I started looking at different options and how I could change my mindset. And Joe Dispenza has been quite instrumental in opening my mind to the fact that our mindset is so powerful. And like we alluded to earlier, that's, the nocebo and the placebo effect. So the negative effects that we can bring into our reality because somebody in authority said that's possible, or we believe that negative thing might happen, we can actually make that a reality. But the Louise Hay and Greg Braden and Joe Dispenza all talk about the positive sides of it, how to use the positive, how to change your belief, and bring in those more positive things into your reality.
Fascinating. One more question, and then I'll come to your book. Healing is a very general term. It could be something to do with stress, or it could be something which is very serious in a health situation. At what stage of one's health, when one is unwell, should one take a call to heal oneself?
I think at any stage, our symptoms become present in our body as messages that there is something not quite right, not quite in alignment with our life that's happening right now. So if we look into our symptoms and you can ask the body, because the body's got wisdom. What is it that you need? Why am I having this symptom? What is the message behind this symptom? So symptoms are the fact that there's something happened already that needs addressing. So most people would wait until there's a symptom and then start their own self-healing. But that's reacting to a symptom. So why can we not go through our day in a healthy way and become conscious of our days, of our time, and choose positive thoughts, and choose how we want to spend our day, and choose that healthy lifestyle, healthy behaviors, so we can be proactive, so that it offsets health and we remain in good health. So there's the two ways to look at it: be proactive and have a healthy lifestyle, or be reactive, and when a symptom comes, then start saying, what is it that my body needs? What does this symptom mean? How am I going to heal this?
Right. Great response. Thank you. So let's now move to your book, Sarah. And before I ask you about the book, I'm going to ask all our viewers and listeners, go and check out the book written by Sarah Dawkins, titled Heal Yourself. I'm sure it's available on Amazon. I'll go and check it out myself. Tell me about your book, and I can see 4 different languages of your book behind you. Tell me about the book.
So my final big thing, if you like, big illness that I healed was a suicidal depression. I burnt out my adrenal glands because of the volume of stress that I was under at that time. And my thyroid gland became underactive.
Wow.
So as I started looking at what I could do to heal those and practice gratitude and mindfulness and did some more meditation, as I started to heal and my days were less dark, I thought, that I can maybe help somebody through my own healing without taking antidepressants. So I started to write my book, and as I got better again, I started to add more to it and thought, well, the book's just about me and it will only help people that have got the same problems that I've had. What if I could make it bigger and invite people in who have got other different problems that they've healed? So I reached out to lots of people, and in the end I had 74 people write about their own healing journeys.
Wow.
And we've covered not just my problems, but things like ALS, or motor neurone as we call it in the UK, multiple sclerosis, allergies, Lyme, autoimmune, so many cancer, so many different things that doctors say cannot be healed. And yet the people in my book have written how they've healed it, and what they've done to help others to understand that it is possible to heal yourself, and that if you do this is what works for me, or this is what worked for them. There's no reason why it can't help you. So that's how my book was born. It is on Amazon. The English version is also in Barnes and Noble in America. And the other languages I have are Dutch, French, and Spanish.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I'm sure a lot of our viewers and listeners will go and check out your book.
Thank you.
My last question to you, Sarah, and this is for the many, many people who will listen to our conversation. Based on your amazing journey, in self-healing, what would you say are 3 lessons that you would want our viewers and listeners to take away?
Believe in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You can do anything if you believe you can.
Okay.
Follow your dreams and passions, because oftentimes we get stuck in a box in life that we believe we should be in. And should is a terrible word because it's other people's opinions. Follow your dreams and passions, even if you've got to take a side step or a slight back step to change your course in life. But you can do it. And listen to that internal voice, that whatever you want to call it, inner wisdom, higher self, the divine, whatever you want to call it, listen to that. If you can't hear it, sit quietly in meditation, or go out for a walk quietly and just be in nature. But find that voice, whether it's a feeling, whether it's a picture, but find something and follow it, because it's there for you. It's your inner guidance, it's your inner wisdom. It's only got your desires, your wants, your needs, your best interests at heart. So tap into it, find it, tap into it, and follow it.
Amazing, amazing. And on that note, Sarah, and your 3 amazing lessons: believe in yourself, you can do anything. Second, you said, was follow your dreams and your passion. And the third one, which is so powerful, listen to your internal voice in whatever way you want to, whatever you believe in, but listen to what you are telling yourself from inside. Thank you so much for speaking to me about your amazing journey from a nurse to a self-healing coach. Thank you for talking to me about so many different aspects of healing ourselves through, either changing your diet, or by de-stressing, or through meditation, or so many other kinds of things that you have spoken about. Thank you also for telling me about the work you're doing as a coach and about your book, Heal Yourself. Thank you again, and good luck.
Thank you, Ashish.
Thank you for listening to the brand called You Videocast and Podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the brand called You.